Hello everybody, this is Mithril Zenith. Welcome back to another 15-minute tier list, the show where I make a Fire Emblem tier list in 15 minutes or less, usually a little bit more. Today we are doing Fate's Birthright. Now I have separated the three Fates games purely because they operate so differently to each other. In terms of units, in terms of usability. Yeah. Fates games are high variability between the three, and so I'm just going to treat them as three separate games. First of all, Corrin's an S tier. Male-female Corrin, there's not really too much of a meaningful difference. I think there's a difference more so between how your Kana turns out. Also, I did not crop these images, so if you like the top half of Mozu's head, then complain to Tier List Maker. Azura is also an S tier unit. In Birthright, for whatever reason, if I remember right, you don't get her for several chapters. And then she just kind of shows up somewhere. Or maybe that was Conquest. I forget exactly how Azura works. Either way, she's S tier, a dancer who can be there forever for however long. Fights decently-ish well. Depending on your Corrin, you will get a different maid or butler. You will get either Felicia or Jakob. Both of these are very good units. Both of these, despite being a pre-promoted class, can level to 40, I think. They just basically treat their class as if it is kind of like a special version of Maid or Butler, where instead of being promoted, they're unpromoted, but they have up to level 40 growth, kind of like a Ballistician or Witch. Yeah, they're both really good. You can reclass them into whatever you want. They are insanely good. Speaking of insanely good, Ryoma. Where do I put Ryoma? Because Ryoma breaks the game wide open. He's one of the best units ever. Ryoma also isn't available for about 2/3 of the game. I think with that availability restriction, it's hard for me to really put him in S tier, but I think I can justify A tier. As a side note, none of the units in Birthright are bad. There are units that are definitely better or worse than others by a significant margin. Like, for instance, Takumi is pretty much S tier, while Falls and Pits a lot. Setsuna is, like, around B tier. But that doesn't mean Setsuna is a bad unit, it just means Takumi is a fantastic unit and Setsuna is kind of just okay. Child units, again, I'm going to throw in C tier pretty much without restriction. Again, I think the only difference is going to be Kana, who is going to be in B tier because sharing the same Lord class, Dragon utility, whatnot as Corrin is great. I actually think maybe the child units are all B tier and then Kana's an A tier. Because all the child units in this game are pretty amazing. They are much... How do I put this? Compared to Awakening, child units have not as much variability based on skills and how good they can be, because there aren't completely game-breaking skills like Gale Force or something. That said, I definitely have used some child units a lot more than others because they're just a lot easier to get. So maybe I do rank certain child units above others. Real quick, let me just throw all the child units on here. Yeah. Just know, all the child units are going to be good. Some of them are just easier to get than others, or show off superior skills than others due to certain things. For instance, I think this goes to the fact that they don't have free reclass options. They're a lot more limited in reclassing than they are even in Awakening. For instance, Sophie is great because she's a Cavalier. You can get her really early. Pretty good skills, pretty good everything. Kildori is really solid. Again, just a really good compliment to Tsubaki, who is an amazing unit as well. Speaking of which, where is he? There we are. I would even maybe go so far as to put Tsubaki debatably in A tier. The only problem with Tsubaki is that he levels up, gains hit points, and then loses his Perfectionist bonus. If he didn't have that problem, he would definitely be a solid A tier. Because of that, I'm maybe putting in top of B, which means I'd probably put Setsuna down to C. Silas, great unit, really solid, really bulky. Sophie is a little faster, while Silas is a little like more defensive. Kana, amazing. All these other child units, they can be good. The only reason Shiro misses out on like B tier is because his availability is restricted by his dad, Ryoma's availability, which is restricted enough as it is. And so even with how good a unit he is, because he's double restricted availability, I have to really put him in C tier, even though I think he's significantly at least as strong as like Sophie in B tier. Obero is a great unit. In Birthright, she basically just gets a +3 damage to everything, because almost all your enemies are Norian. Caden's alright. He's not great. Again, they have issues with the beast units because, especially in Fates, they're not special. They're just locked to 1 range. And I get that they have the weird even-odd things between the wolves and the kitsune, even and odd. And they do have some good stuff with Beast Killer. But you just don't really have a lot that you can do with them, in my opinion, from what I've found. Everyone memes on Hana. I've always had good Hanas, but I will understand why people say that they don't. I've always had a good Hana. Up there with Tsubaki, in my opinion. Really solid units. Hayato can be good, but he comes in pretty late, pretty underleveled. I guess not even super late. Just a little underleveled. He's fine. He's reasonable. Orochi, if you want that capture, she's necessary. As such, she's at least B tier. Insanely high magic and not much else. That's what you get with Orochi. Saizo is a great unit if you have the DLC or whatever. If you turn him into a Dread Fighter, he's amazing. Other than that, he's a little bit slower than you'd like him to be, and can cause some funny issues with pyrotechnics, but he is a pretty solid unit. Definitely with Kagero there. Kaze is an A tier because he's just lightning fast all the time, no matter what. Just make sure that you A support him with your Korin, and that's all you need to worry about. Don't worry about it. I'm debating even moving Saizo and Kagero up to A tier. I think I'll leave them on B tier, but it's a close one. You know what? Maybe that's the way I should do it. Because even though I love Hana and the way that she's fast, dodges everything, and has good strength, if she takes a hit, she will die. So that's a thing. Hinata, not great. C tier. He's a solid samurai, but he has that problem where he has good stats and everything balanced, but he's not really standing out in any specific direction to be good. Reina is really good, pre-promoted, a little bit limited in what she can do, but does her job very well. Same thing with Shura. When he joins in, he is great, very strong, good, solid unit there. Shigure, I'll put C tier as well, sure, why not? Rinka, I wish you were better. Rinka, in theory, has amazing defense and decent strength. In practice, I don't remember her dealing damage, and while she doesn't take a lot of damage, she also just never really does anything important. And because she doesn't kill enemies fast, she gets slower experience compared to everyone else, which means that she just falls further and further behind. There's a lot that I want to like about Rinka, but ultimately when it comes down to it, she is your Birthright Armor Knight, and not in the overpowered way that they made like Effie overpowered. Azama, surprisingly good, very good strength if you make him a great master or just anything that uses his strength. I think he's much better using his strength than he is by being a healer. It kind of gets ruined by being a healer. Sakura, she's fine. She has great magic, not as blatantly over magicked as Elise, but is decent. Mozu, poor Mozu, I think that I'll probably put her down to E tier as well. She can be decent. She's never gonna get durability. Like, all units in Fate struggle with durability, but Mozu really does. She's been like a promoted or like a dark flyer in Endgame, and she's barely pushing 30 HP. That's how bad her HP growth is. Yeah, other than that, all your siblings, Hinoka is great, A tier, joins early enough to be A tier. Takumi is S tier because joins super early, Fujinumi's broken, he can get anywhere, do anything. He is an archer, but even as an archer, I think he's one of the only, units that I would recommend staying as archer or sniper and still give S tier to. Just because the Fujinumi is so powerful, especially for the time that you get it at. Funny, dancy, what is your name? Join us for welcome to 15-minute tier list, the show where Mithril Zenith forgets the names of most of his units. Azama? No, that's Azama. What is your name? Hot Springs dude. Comes in pretty late. Actually pretty useful with his ability to just make everyone take less damage, even though it makes, your enemies take less damage too. He's a defensive aura. He's not bad. Scarlet is pretty good when you get her. And again, you're very limited in how many Norian class units you get, and she's a good class. Wyvern Rider's a good class. Always has been. Oh yeah, here's another child unit. I don't remember the restrictions to getting the designer guy. What the heck is his name? Hidetaki? Whatever. I don't remember his restrictions. He comes in way too late, and he's not notable enough for being a puppeteer, puppet master. And you are another child unit. I think I listed Gaius as a child unit in Awakening, thinking it was, Kiragi? Not Kiragi, this is Kiragi. Thinking he was this guy. Anyway, either way, it's fine. I think I'd give him C tier anyway. But yeah, that is my tier list of Fire Emblem Birthright. There's no true F tier units. People will argue that Rinka's maybe F tier, but he's fine. Mozu's fine. They're certainly usable. It's not like they're unusable trash. You just gotta work for it. Kaden and Hayato are unremarkable. Sakura is lifted up just by some of her abilities, even though it's not that great. Maybe I'd even put Azama at B tier just because he's so strong and so bulky. He surprises me constantly just how good he ends up being. Yeah, this is what I rank my tier list as. Let me know if you disagree and by how much in the comments down below. Explain why your favorite unit is better or worse, and I will consider it if I ever do a tier list correction video. Until then, thank you very much for watching. We didn't even break 15 minutes in this video. I have played Birthright a couple times. I have beat it on Lunatic. So yeah, no worries on that. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. Thank you for watching the video. Have a nice day. Thank you for listening to this horrible outro. This is Mithril Zenith signing out.